Okay, so I want to make a quick video. This is in Testnet. This is zephyrprotocol.com. If you're not familiar, go to the website, check out my other videos. Basically, it is a privacy stablecoin built from Monero. They are building a bridge over to Ethereum so you can have all of the 4 assets that Zephyr has as wrapped ERC20 versions, and you'll be able to simply buy, for example, wrapped ZYS, which is the yield share, where when you stake the decentralized private stablecoin ZSD in a pool, you get ZYS, and then you get a share of the yield, which is currently 8%, and it has 20% over the last 12 months. And the APY is variable, so it goes up and down depending on the price of ZEPH, and that's because the yield comes from block emissions. So we're just going to go through this bridge here briefly, and I'm going to show you some key features so that you have a sense of what is around the corner. This bridge is going to be audited by Zephyr. From what I understand, the community has pretty much raised the entire audit cost, so that's going to happen soon. And I believe the repo that is being built has gotten a lot closer to going into mainnet. You can actually go to Fenzar's GitHub and take a look. You can see it was updated 17 hours ago, and he continues to make updates on the bridge orchestration. You can go ahead and go into that, of course. You can look at all the code. This is public. And so you can dig into all the features. You can actually build out a local DevNet and run it on your local computer. And here's all the instructions. I actually did that. You can have your own dashboard and bridge and your own like Explorer and all of that good stuff. I actually did all of that. I'm probably not going to have time to show you that today, but basically there are a lot of different features that have been built out, and it's very detailed. So if you're interested in learning more about the Zephyr Bridge engine and how it works, you can definitely take a look at this. And maybe if I have some time, I will spin up a local DevNet and kind of show you what's going on in the back end. We can actually just look at the front end. So of course, all of the code here is available. You can take a look at that if you are interested. Probably going to be under apps. Like I said, everything is open source. I think maybe there are some, obviously, some private sections, but most of this code is available for review if you are interested. And of course, it helps to get some other eyes on this project so that we can make sure that the bridge goes smoothly. And this is all the back end basically. So it's going to wrap and unwrap. It's going to keep peg maintenance. It's going to help the price be the same on the Ethereum side and on the actual Zephyr blockchain. And whenever somebody on Ethereum, for example, swaps their ETH into ZSD or ZYS or ZEPH, then that will get filled by liquidity providers on Uniswap V4, and the bridge engine will essentially replenish that liquidity by taking ZEPH from the native chain and wrapping it through these automated processes and then refilling that. And in the process of doing that, that can push the price of ZEPH up as people buy more wrapped versions. So all of this is available for review. On the front end, of course, we can take a look at some of the details. We will go into the app here. And the first thing I need to do is connect my wallet, which I've already done. And then I actually will put some testnet ETH into my wallet. And I will do that by getting some testnet tokens. I'm going to mint some ETH and some USDT and some USDC. I think I might need to add some of these testnet coins into my wallet. Looks like actually I may have already have added them, so I'm probably good to go. I'm not going to add any more. Or I don't have to re-add them. Basically, on MetaMask, you have to add them to the wallet and give them approval and all of that. I have been testing this out, so if you test it out on your own, you might need to go through a few different steps because maybe I have already done those steps. Looks like I do have to approve USDT. So I will go ahead and do that. Okay, it's approved. So I can swap on Uniswap 4. Of course, this is testnet, so these are testnet tokens. And I will go ahead and get some wrapped ZSD. You can see liquidity is very good. Of course, this is just testnet, but it probably will be quite good. I know that there's going to be a lot of liquidity initially, so that liquidity is quite good. Okay, swap was successful. And now I have 100 wrapped ZSD. And I minted some USDT, so that's why I just got 100 more. Just for reference, I'll go ahead and do this one more time. For some reason, I have to approve USDT again. In the mainnet, you won't have to keep approving it. Once it's approved once, it should be good to go. There's probably like some rule that I need to set so that it gets approved moving forward. But I'll go ahead and just confirm this and do it again, just to show you that I will now have 50 USDT left after this swap. Okay, so if I want to mint some more USDT and keep playing around with it, I can do that. I'll just let this timer go down. And then I will go down to this get testnet tokens and I can mint some more USDT. And then I will have 150 USDT. Okay, perfect. There it is. Okay, so I can actually wrap some ZEPH tokens. And because this is testnet, it's just super user friendly. Basically, I can just create a bridge address and it creates it for me. When mainnet goes live, there will be, you'll have to kind of like bridge it over and take your own actual assets and send it over. But this is like a faucet basically, so that I can just ask the faucet for some tokens and it will take some real ZEPH from the ZEPH blockchain and then wrap that over from that faucet and then wrap it into a wrapped ZEPH, which we can see here. It's getting confirmed and that has been detected and it will take a few moments. It's set to 5 blocks, but it's probably going to be set higher for mainnet, of course. And I can actually go ahead and get any number of tokens. I have to wait for the cooldown period and I'll come back and do that. You can take a look at the bridge details here because the bridge is going over to Ethereum. Of course, all of the Ethereum side is going to be tracked on the Ethereum Explorer. So you'll be able to actually monitor what is the circulating supply of wrapped ZEPH, what's the circulating supply of wrapped ZSD, and you'll be able to see, all of the transactions that are taking place in terms of the wrapped transactions and the unwrapping. You'll also be able to see, of course, transactions. So if somebody sends wrapped ZYS, you'll be able to track that on the Ethereum side because it's wrapped on Ethereum. That's not private. Of course, there are ways to maintain privacy on the Ethereum side, and that's just by getting different addresses or different wallets. And of course, I'll make another video about that at some point in the future. If you want to continue to have privacy on Ethereum, there are certainly ways to do it. Because this is on Uniswap V4, you'll be able to be a liquidity provider if you want. So if you have some ZEPH and you want to wrap it, you can go ahead and bridge that over and wrap them into the ERC20 versions. And then you can add that liquidity to the liquidity pools. And you can go ahead and earn fees by providing liquidity. And you'll be able to do this on this very easy to use front end that the Zephyr dev team has built out. In the mainnet, you'll be able to add positions and then monitor the fees that you're collecting from adding liquidity. And of course, the more liquidity that's there, the easier it is going to be for people who might be ETH whales or have a lot of USDT on Ethereum, and they'll be able to move into wrapped ZYS, for example, with quite a bit of ease. So one thing maybe to note, and I've talked about this in other videos, is wrapped ZYS is only going to be paired with wrapped ZSD, and that's actually a very good thing because then people basically will be swapping USDT to wrapped ZSD, and then the Uniswap V4, essentially what it's going to do is it's going to then take that wraps USD and swap it for wraps UIS and then give that to the person who paid USDT. So basically, you're just going to give a little bit of USDT and you'll get some wraps UIS, but in the meantime, you'll be buying wrap ZSD in doing that. And in order to get wrap ZSD, you have to have ZSD, and in order to get ZSD, you have to have ZEPH. In order to do this whole process of keeping the liquidity, ZEPH will have to be bought in order to help maintain the liquidity pool. And so through this whole process, essentially, there will be buy pressure on ZEPH, and then you'll be able to mint more ZSD and more wrap ZYS. So that's why I'm very bullish on this whole project. And if you're curious, you can check out this testnet as well. I'll see if I can leave the link in the video description below. Okay, so I can go ahead and supply some liquidity if I want to do that. Let's say I have a little bit of wrap ZSD. I'll put $45 in. And I'll set this to 5% because I don't think it's going to go above or below that. And you can actually set a custom range or full range. And because it's a Uniswap pool, it can deviate from the $1 peg just because of price slippage. If you don't understand that, there's other videos you can watch about it. But on the JED mechanism on Zephyr blockchain, it will always be $1. You can always redeem it for $1. And that's why this peg will be mostly $1, because if it goes above, you can just go ahead and mint some ZSD, and then you can go ahead and send it over here and arbitrage and make some money. If it goes below, you can simply buy some, and then you can unmint it from the Zephyr side and sell that ZEPH. And so that's why pegs are kept, because of the profit that can be made. So I will go ahead and review the position. I've already approved the contract for those two assets. So all I have to do is actually create the position, and it's being created. It's going to ask me to approve, go ahead and confirm, and just like that, extremely fast. I'll hit this refresh button. We'll see a third one pop up, and there it is. And I can go into this and I can take a look. I can remove a partial amount of this liquidity, or I can close the position, and same thing as removing 100%. And I will get fees over time when people swap in and out. There is a small fee when you swap. You may have seen that when I did some swaps, and that goes to the liquidity provider. So this is how the liquidity will work, and all of this is working well. A lot of good things going on in the background. But if we just look at what's going on here on the front end, there's also a lot of really good details that you can take a look at in terms of how you would be adding liquidity. And so you can test this out if you want to. There's going to be a variety of different pairs that you can end up adding. Okay, so here I am. I can see that my wrap has been fully completed. I need to claim that now. I have 24 hours to claim it, or it will simply go back to my native wallet on the Zephyr blockchain. And here I can see that the transaction was submitted and the wrap was complete. And down here, I can see that I actually have one wrapped ZEPH in my wallet. You can see the transaction, and I can actually go to the Explorer and take a look at that transaction. And I'm guessing that this is the transaction. This is the actual transaction on the Zephyr chain. So you have the Ethereum side and the Zephyr side. And if I want, I can wrap some more. So if anybody was curious, you don't have to use the faucet. You can actually use a manual transfer. So the way that you would do this is you would point your wallet node at the testnet, and then whatever real assets you have in that wallet would automatically become testnet coins, and you could send those coins over and you would see that they would actually get wrapped. And I've done that myself and it works fine. Just obviously be careful that you don't send actual assets on the actual blockchain to this contract, because then you're basically burning them and you'll never get them back. You have to make sure that your node is actually correctly pointed at the testnet, and then you'll be safe. And that's what this was asking me to approve. Those 3 questions at the beginning is essentially saying that I know what I'm doing and I'm not going to make a mistake. So just to be clear, I'll show you that again one more time, but I will go ahead and get some ZSD, and then that was just detected. You see that came up automatically, and then it will go through 5 confirmations, and then the bridge will sign that off, and I'll be able to claim that. I can also unwrap, of course. I can unwrap to my own wallet or to my kind of like faucet wallet. So either way, I'm going to unwrap. It's only going to let me unwrap 5 at a time because this is the test net. But on the main net, of course, I can unwrap as much as I want. There's a little bit of a fee to unwrap, and I will hit continue. And then I can decide where I want to send my assets. I can send it to the faucet, which is basically the address that was created for me. Or if I want, I can send it to a specific destination address. And if you have your actual wallet pointed at the testnet, then it will go to your actual wallet, and you'll see that the wrapped token will become an actual Zephyr coin on the actual blockchain. And again, I've done that and it works well. So I can go ahead and just unwrap this to the faucet, and then of course the EVM side will burn that wrapped one and then send me the actual Zephyr coin that was being held in a wallet, and that's basically how this bridge works. So now you can see that it is going through an unwrap process, and I will get unwrap Zeph. Okay, so I'm back on the wrap side, and I can claim that one ZSD that I just wrapped from the faucet, and I will sign this here, and then I will have just claimed it. So I got another one. So again, it says, I understand that this is testnet. I verified the bridge address is correct, and I will only send testnet funds. So make sure that you know what you're doing. If you want to test this in manual mode, if you don't know what you're doing, just test it in the faucet mode. Zephyr Lite, I don't think is fully available at this time, but that is just going to make everything a little bit easier for everybody when that goes mainnet as well. So you can see I've now wrapped Zeph and ZSD. I can also wrap ZRS, of course, and I will also be able to wrap ZYS, of course, as well. Just again in testnet, it has limited functionality just to prove that it is working. And so everything is working great, of course. You can see I unwrapped my 5 wrapped Zeph to normal Zeph, and you can see the EVM burn, and then you can see where it was sent to on the actual Zephyr chain, and you could check that wallet if you had access to it and see that it's actually there. And so, yeah, wrap, unwrap, it's been working for quite a while, and it works very well. And, you know, of course, I can see here that someone has unwrapped some ZSD, and all that transactions, of course, because it's on Ethereum, is going to get tracked. So there is a benefit to that, and that's really why I'm pointing this out, is you'll be able to see how much wrapped ZSD and wrapped Zeph is on Ethereum. You'll be able to kind of monitor where it's going, and you'll also be able to know, you know, if there is, you know, more wrapped Zeph than there should be on Ethereum, then we'll know that, you know, there's more supply than there should be, right? Because it's always, because it's a privacy chain, there can always be this question of like, you know, the circulating supply is 11 million. Is it actually 11 million? You know, potentially there could be an exploit where someone is actually minting more Zeph than there really is. And we would be able to know, because on Ethereum, if there suddenly was a very inflated supply of wrapped Zeph, then you would be able to know, hey, there's actually more wrapped Zeph than there should be. And in that sense, it actually could be very good to have a little bit of a window into the actual supply that's on Ethereum versus it's a little bit more opaque in terms of being able to truly know how many Zeph are actually in circulation. You'll be able to see everything on Ethereum, and then once it leaves Ethereum, it will go back into a black hole, and you'll never be able to know anything about that again. So having a little bit of transparency, I think, is kind of a good thing. It can help other people who are investing in this have some sense of what's actually going on in terms of the circulating supply and the activity in terms of transactions and transfers and swaps. You'll be able to see how many people are actually buying wrap ZYS and how many people hold it. There will be a rich list technically. So if somebody holds, let's say, 50,000 wrap Zeph, they might be the #1 wallet on all of Ethereum, and you'll be able to know like how many whales there are, and you know what they're kind of doing with it as long as they stay on Ethereum. As soon as they move over to unwrapping back into the black hole that is Zephyr, then you know, of course, they'll go back into anonymity and privacy, and you'll never know. So there will be essentially some amount of transparency on Ethereum in terms of the wrapped assets. And like I said, that could be kind of a good thing. But if somebody wanted privacy, they would just unwrap and move right back to Zephyr. So you'll be able to kind of monitor some of those transactions and the wallets and the whales who might be on Ethereum, for example. Okay, just really quick, I'm going to get some wrap ZYS because I know that that's something that I am interested in purchasing. And even though, for example, I might not be able to buy ZYS because on the native chain, there are certain protocol rules in place that prevent me from swapping over when the collateral is below 400%. And that actually will go away when Ethereum has liquidity on Uniswap V4, and I'll show you that right now. I'm going to approve ZEPH, and now I'm going to review this swap, and I'm going to buy some wrap ZYS with my ZEPH. Super easy to do. On the native side, I wouldn't be able to do this right now because the collateral backing the dollar ZSD is below 400%. There's certain rules in place. If you don't understand that, what I just said, just watch my other videos. It's pretty straightforward once you learn about it. But when the bridge goes live and there's liquidity on Uniswap V4, it will be easy to get wrap ZYS. And you can see I just bought some. And anybody who's interested in getting 8%, 15%, 20%, 30% yield on a stablecoin, they may want to purchase this. And it's just as easy as 10 seconds of me talking while I went ahead and did some swapping. If I don't have ZEPH, I could also just buy some with my USDC. So I'll go ahead and buy some of this wrap ZYS with USDC. It only takes a few seconds. This is real time. Gonna go ahead and approve spending USDC in my MetaMask. I'm gonna review the swap. I can check out the details if I want. And I probably can edit the slippage. I know I can. I'll show you that in a minute. There, it's set to 0.5 right now, and I will go ahead and confirm this, and I will approve the transaction in my wallet and swap USDC to wrap ZYS, and it's done. Takes just a few seconds, and now I have 199 wrap ZYS. This is going to earn 8% right now. And so it's going to grow slowly every 2 minutes. It's going to get a little bit of yield and I'll get a little bit more money. And it's better than USDC because that only pegs to the dollar, whereas wrap ZYS goes up slowly because it gains value from block emissions. And if you don't know about that, you can look at my other videos. If I want to change any of the settings here, I can go ahead and do that as well. So this is just a quick review of the Zephyr bridge. And if you are interested in this, you can go ahead and take a look. There are details here on this front end. And if you want to dig more into the code, you can go to Fenzar's GitHub. And that is something that you can also take a look at as well. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put that down below. I am happy to answer them. Thanks again for watching these videos. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. The bridge will go mainnet after Cephrin audits the bridge code, and that should be happening pretty soon. I don't know if there's a specific date, but it's probably weeks to months. And then mainnet should be pretty soon after that. So I will make a video when that happens. Stay tuned.